what is up guys, and welcome back to another video. My name is Nouman and today's analysis video is going to be about the Premier League game between Chelsea and Leicester City. So today's video is sponsored by OneFootball. OneFootball is an app where you can find all the latest transfer news and stats about teams and players. So please don't forget to download the app. I'll put the link in the description. So Chelsea lined up in their normal 3-4-3 formation, which was mostly 2-3-5 on the ground with possession, while Leicester City, on the other hand, also lined up in a 3-4-3 formation, but they changed their formation to 3-5-2 in the second half. Since both the teams were using the same formation, so it was very obvious that we were going to have a 1v1 position all over the ground. So whenever Chelsea tried to build their play from the back, the front three would try to press the three Chelsea centre-backs, with the two midfielders trying to cover the two Chelsea midfielders, and the two Leicester wing-backs were also trying to cover the two Chelsea wing-backs. Front three on the three Chelsea centre-backs, and Didi and Soumaré are trying to cover the two Chelsea midfielders, with the wing-backs also trying to cover the two Chelsea wing-backs. Rudiger plays the ball to Jorginho, who is immediately put under pressure by Soumaré, and Leicester City win possession in Chelsea's midfield third. And now suddenly, Leicester have a 3v2 position in their favour, and this was the first real chance of Leicester City in this game. But Chelsea made the adjustment right away, and it didn't take Chelsea too long to figure out a way to dominate this Leicester City side. Chelsea decided to drop Mason Mount in between the lines to force one of the Leicester midfielders to get away from one of the Chelsea midfielders. Kai Havertz took the position of Mason Mount, and Callum Hudson-Odoi was keeping Daniel Amate busy. Johnny Evans was working as the sweeper for Leicester City, so he never really tried to leave his line to try and cover Mason Mount in between the lines, because Evans knew that if he steps out, he would leave the space open for Kai Havertz and Hudson-Odoi to make inside runs. So this way Chelsea were actually able to drop Mason Mount in between the lines and take Soumaré away from Jorginho. Again, front three are trying to cover the three Chelsea centre-backs, and Didi is once again covering N'Golo Kante. But look at Soumaré. Soumaré checks his shoulder and he can see Mason Mount dropping behind the Leicester midfield. Soumaré checks his shoulder and he can see Mason Mount behind the midfield. So Soumaré is trying to hold on to his position to cover Mason Mount, and he is trusting Vardy to cut the passing lane to Jorginho. Jamie Vardy is trying to cut the passing lane to Jorginho, and Ben Chilwell could see Soumaré holding on to his position to cover Mason Mount. So Ben Chilwell immediately pounced on the opportunity and he dropped in the midfield to easily receive the ball from Thiago Silva. Mason Mount caught the attention of Soumaré, so Ben Chilwell immediately dropped in the midfield to help Chelsea during the build-up play. And this is where Ben Chilwell's awareness comes into play. He knew Leicester were trying to use a 1v1 marking, so Albrighton was going to step out to cover Ben Chilwell. So Ben Chilwell simply flicks the ball to Callum Hudson-Odoi and he easily takes out Albrighton. Ben Chilwell flicks the ball in the path of Hudson-Odoi. Amate steps out to cover Hudson-Odoi, and now Ben Chilwell can easily attack the half space because Albrighton was completely taken out by the flick. At the start of the game, Ben Chilwell decided to stay very wide, with Callum Hudson-Odoi often dropping deep. And surprisingly, whenever Hudson-Odoi tried to drop deep, both Amate and Albrighton decided to follow Callum Hudson-Odoi, and they often left Ben Chilwell totally free. And Chilwell made some very good runs from that wider position to get into goal scoring positions. So as we can see here, Callum Hudson-Odoi drops deep, and both Amate and Albrighton decided to follow him, which leaves Ben Chilwell totally free to make the run behind the two Leicester players. Luckily for Leicester City, the ball actually hits the back of Albrighton, otherwise Ben Chilwell was totally free to receive the ball. The deflection took the ball away from Ben Chilwell, otherwise Ben Chilwell was completely free to make the run. Once again, both the wing-back and the centre-back are busy covering Hudson-Odoi, and Ben Chilwell once again makes a very good run, and unfortunately he hits the woodwork. So as the game progressed, the wide Leicester centre-backs decided not to follow the runs of Mason Mount and Callum Hudson-Odoi whenever they dropped deep, because that opened up the spaces in the Leicester defence for the wide Chelsea wing-backs to attack. So the centre-backs decided to stay in their lines and not follow the runs of Mason Mount and Callum Hudson-Odoi. But this way, Mason Mount and Hudson-Odoi were now able to enjoy so much space in between the lines without anyone trying to cover them. The Chelsea wingbacks are keeping their wide positions, while Callum Hudson-Odoi and Mason Mount are freely moving in between the lines. As the Leicester City centre-backs have now decided not to follow their runs to eliminate any open spaces in the defence for the ones of the wide Chelsea wingbacks. If Castagne steps out to cover Reece James, he would leave the space open for the one of Callum Hudson-Odoi. And if Castagne steps out to cover Callum Hudson-Odoi, then he would leave the space open for Reece James to make the run. So Castagne is in all sorts of issues. And why did he end up in this mess? That is a real question. And the answer is very simple. It's Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz has very cleverly drifted away from his number 9 position to occupy Soyuncu. This way, Soyuncu can't step out to help Castagne. And this is why communication is so important in football. Soyuncu should actually ask Evans, who is standing still with no one to mark, to step out and cover Kai Havertz, so that Soyuncu can help Castagne, who is stuck in a 1v2 position. Thiago Silva sports the 1v2 position and he immediately plays the ball to Reece James. Reece James receives the ball, Castagne steps out, and boom, Callum Hudson-Odoi is now totally free to attack the space. So Leicester really had no answers to the Chelsea questions. When their centre-backs decided to follow Hudson-Odoi and Mason Mount, the Chelsea wing-backs were actually able to make runs. And when their centre-backs decided not to follow Hudson-Odoi and Mason Mount, they left the two players completely free to do whatever they desired to do in between the lines. Here again, Mason Mount drops deep to receive the ball from Thiago Silva. Mason Mount drops deep to receive the ball, and this time Soyuncu decided to leave his line to cover Mason Mount. Mason Mount plays the ball back to Chalobah after dragging Soyuncu out of his line, and Chalobah plays a first-time pass to Kai Havertz in the space that was left open by Soyuncu. Leicester, on the other hand, mainly tried to take their chances on transitions. Chelsea's centre-backs are often given the job of being aggressive without the ball, as Thomas Tuchel wants his team to win back possession as soon as possible and as higher up the pitch as possible. So the Chelsea centre-backs often leave their line, especially when Chelsea lose possession, as they try to regain possession for their team as soon as possible. Chelsea lose possession and see the position of Chalobah. He is deep in Leicester's half to try and press Barnes to win back possession. So these were the times when Leicester City tried to isolate Jamie Vardy in a 1v1 position against Thiago Silva. This time Rudiger steps out to win back possession for Chelsea, but he was easily taken out. Rudiger was taken out and Leicester City are able to release Jamie Vardy in a 1v1 position against Thiago Silva. But Thiago Silva was on a different level today. Jamie Vardy might have the speed, but he doesn't have the experience of Thiago Silva, who was absolutely amazing today. And he never gave Vardy any chance to get a clean run inside the box. In the second half, Leicester City decided to change their formation from a 3-4-3 to 3-5-2, because Leicester's midfield in the first half was easily overrun by Chelsea. So James Maddison and Soumare would cover the two Chelsea midfielders, while Ndidi was now given the job of tracking the deeper runs of Mason Mount and Hudson-Odoi. Leicester City now shifting to a 3-5-2 formation with Maddison and Soumare covering N'Golo Kante and Jorginho, while Ndidi is now the free man to look for the deeper runs of Chelsea's front three. James Maddison and Soumare were trying to track the runs of the two Chelsea midfielders, but now the Chelsea centre-backs, who were covered by the front three of Leicester in the first half, now only had two Leicester players up front, which means that one of the Chelsea centre-backs was now totally free to help Chelsea, and this is what Chelsea tried to use. The front two of Leicester City can only cover two Chelsea centre-backs, so one of the Chelsea centre-backs was now totally free. Thiago Silva plays the ball to Chalobah, who now has all this space to run into, because Maddison and Soumare were busy tracking the runs of Kante and Jorginho, while Ndidi was looking for the runs of the front three. Chalobah steps out of his line and he plays a beautiful through ball to Hakim Ziyech, and Chelsea easily link the play from the defense to offense. It was a very dominant performance from Chelsea, and Leicester City really had no idea how to stop Chelsea, and they were very lucky to only lose by 3-0. Thank Thank you so much guys for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.